you see beyond what other people can see, and then you make it happen. Because there are people who will have the vision, but they don't know how to execute it. You do both, which is a very big gift.
Welcome to Cafetero, a podcast about nothing that includes everything. And welcome back to Cafetero Podcast, a podcast about everything that includes nothing or nothing that includes everything.
Either way, it's fine.
Okay.
It's all.
I have somebody who I convinced to do a podcast with me today. She is a woman of many hats. She's not only an entrepreneur, she's a designer, she's a social worker, and she used to work at a prison and death row.
Yep.
Melissa Fonsi.
It's a Fonsi. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Good to have you here.
Melissa, finding out about you working in a prison and death row, I was like,
Did everything make sense then?
Yeah.
I think I've never met someone that actually worked in that kind of jobs. This is the first time.
So I worked at the public defender's office. So I would go to the prison and we represented them. Okay. And so in the American legal system, there's a whole process. So I was like middle of the road. So I would interview and I would work on these cases and I would get to know the clients. And basically I would say, okay, if this was presented in their trial, it would have resulted in maybe life without parole or something like that. But it was the reason why I became a social worker, actually.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
So Melissa, do you have any anecdotes or something? Because when I learned about that, and I learned it this morning, I was in my bathroom and I was like, "What?" And I said, maybe I misheard I misread what and I was like, "Wow, I'm gonna go for when I get her on the podcast. I'm gonna ask her about this." Any anecdotes that you like to share?
Oh my goodness, it was so long ago. So I mean,
like a crazy story that happened.
It was just it's very tragic, the people that were there, because I would say, on a not so funny side, everyone had abuse as a child, and everyone probably had a place where someone could intervene or do something, and they didn't. And mental illness was not addressed. But they were, my clients became, you got to know them because here they're in jail, and knowing their family, and to see that it was just they're one step away from not being in trouble. Like if they're you just kind of think about what something could have happened to make it. But I think the more antidotes was probably with the people I worked with. So you have a team of lawyers, and because it's so intense and you're dealing with life and death, you become very close. So I think it's more the antidotes I probably can't talk about was like,
yeah.
There may have been a trip when I was only 22, so I was just out of college, and we're in New Orleans for the first time. Let me just say that hurricanes were not my friend that day.
Yeah, very bad around there. But since working in that kind of cases, I'm pretty sure you felt this sentimental, like, how can I explain this? I'm sure you felt sad sometimes seeing the cases that you had to deal with. One case that you will always remember. You don't have to say many details, but at least, like a shortcut of it.
I think one case I can remember very well is he was mentally challenged, so he had a lower IQ. And he was extremely, extremely poverty, so much that the bathrooms, they had to go down the street to empty the toilet.
Wow.
And the mother had a severe substance abuse problem, and she would go through the projects and say, my child is special, he's in special ed. And just the trauma of that, and it was interesting because I found that, and the teachers were my best resources, because the people who grow up and who end up where they were in a death row, the teachers remember them. There were some issues that you would see, and I think even today, the teachers are always the best resources. So I would go to a teacher, him especially, and it was like 30 years later, do you remember this person? And they remembered him, and they had stories, and they had the family and stuff. And it was interesting. He had a lot of brothers and sisters, and a lot of them we never got in trouble. So it's just like kind of that, why someone went one way, one with the other. But his, I think, was because he was very easily influenced.
Right.
Now let's pivot to something more light.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
We're studying really hard.
How do you know we're going to go this route?
You bring me down memory lane. It's like, so now they're like, okay, it makes sense why you jump to like making jewelry, but there is a reason. So
But learning about you, Melissa, you did a transition from that line of work,
right,
into a designer. So tell us about that. What was the catalyst to jumpstart a new career?
Why the change so drastic?
Well, it seems drastic when it's on paper like that, but I have to say that I have always been a creative person. So, like, for instance, prom, I design my own dress. And even though I don't sew, because that would have been horrible, and I'm going to date myself because I still have it. I can't fit into it anymore. But it was a blue lame with, like, a bow. And then with like a little bolero shirt or jacket, and then it had a black bubble with a little like pendulum. It was And then I had the blue and the black shoes to match it. So all throughout my life, I've always been a little bit creative, and I think I've used the creative side to deal with stress. So obviously in the social work, and I also work with people who had cancer. I was always on the side doing something creative, and I started doing the jewelry as a hobby, and then I ended up making a career. And
what propel the transition? That's what I'm trying to.
So I think I stopped working as a social worker. We moved to Minneapolis for a little bit to be a mom. And I went back to get another master's in nonprofit management, and I was still doing the jewelry. And then that's when I started getting compliments. I would wear stuff and they'd say, "Oh, where can I get that?" I'm like, "Well, I made it." Right. And I do a lot of sustainable. So I take things apart, I redesign it. And so as I came out of getting my master's and doing some consulting, I didn't really like what I was doing, and I was getting more enjoyment by doing pieces and donating them to nonprofits and stuff. And then I just kind of said, okay, let's do it. But I still was really scared. And what happened was I met up with an acquaintance who we were having dinner, and for some reason I had got a couple glasses of wine, and I just started saying my dreams, which was being a jewelry designer. And I was like, and I'm a Virgo, so I thought everything had to be so right. And she's like, you're never going to start. If you're going to wait till it's perfect, it's never going to start.
Never going to start yet.
You have to start it, and you will make mistakes, and then you will go on. And whatever the stars were aligned, I listened to her, and I'm forever grateful for Edie. I did it, and I got my DBA, and I'm like, we're doing this. And so that's it's a weird transition, but it just kind of formed that way. It's like the stars were aligned, and I started doing it. So.
No, if Ederlin and I were to wear jewelry in our ears, what would you decide for me, and what would you decide for him, and why?
Oh, I like that.
Mine has to be a little, better than his.
Well, the problem is I just met him, so I don't know. I know what I would do for you.
Oh, great.
So I feel like for you, that both of you would have some really stackable bracelets. I think lava because then you could put some lavender in there because you need some wet times to calm down and but something very colorful and funky. And I don't see you guys in earrings. I see you more like maybe a bigger piece or kind of a funkier necklace.
This is what I'm wearing right now.
Oh, I like that.
But I got this from
not from
David
me.
Yearman.
Yeah, you got to be not from me.
I didn't put mine on today, but I usually use necklace as well.
Yeah, but I don't see you guys in earrings. I see you more in a bracelet and stuff like that. So
I'm all the time wearing little bracelets as well.
Yeah,
I'm just don't put it on to work, but yeah.
Right. No, we have to fix that then.
Yeah, we have to set it off.
We have to do
Definitely. So if someone wants to get some jewelry from you, how can they find it? I know you have an Instagram page or whatever, but is there another way to contact you and get your jewelry? There's
several ways, yeah. So because I do custom work also. So I have Instagram, I have a website, ADesignNY, so it's ADZINENY.com. Okay. And also a lot of times I love doing custom work because you get to know the person, because I feel jewelry is so personal. Yep. And it's a way of expressing yourself. It's a way of changing your mood, and it's a way of making memories. Because I will still have pieces that are like junk jewelry, but my grandmother gave them to me, or I was with my grandmother, and I will never get rid of it. And so a lot of times, like the costume stuff, we can redo it and modernize it and make it still to continue to have these memories of that person. So we can meet up, and a lot of times when people say, I'm looking for this certain earring, I'll bring options because life is about choices. Gotcha. And then you can see what speaks to you. So, yeah.
On that note, and I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
But we would like to have for maybe a couple of months your jewelry here at Cafetero. Would that be possible?
That would absolutely be. I would be honored. That would be great.
Well,
everybody.
For everybody.
Yes.
Men, women, children, dogs.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well,
so since we're talking about jewelry and personal life of your customers, what would you say is the best part about your job?
I think my best part of my job is meeting the people. The other place you can find me is I'm in a lot of markets also. And I think you meet different people. I have a client who's now become a friend who's 87 years old. Wow. And we'll meet for lunch. And she has the most incredible, I don't know, repurposed her jewelry, but I've gotten to know her. So I think seeing people's reaction when they have the jewelry and thinking, oh, I'm going to wear this for or hey, I'm going to get this for my friend. This is going to help her, whatever. We're going to wear this at a party. And I have the perfect dress for it. So I love meeting the people and talking to people. And I also love, part of my business is I give back. So I haven't given completely up at the social work part. Yeah. So 10% of my sales goes back to a featured nonprofit. Wow. So that has been really
nice. Really, really nice.
Very kind.
It's interesting to meet. There's so many great nonprofits here in Westchester and all around that to know that it's not just, people think jewelry is things, where it's actually, it's a purpose. There's people can wear, and sometimes people will buy it because they're like, I know this benefits in-kind boxes, which gives postpartum boxes to moms, or I know this will go to Hope Community Services and give food for people who are food insecure. So that helps too.
Good.
This is part of being able to speak 3 languages. Sometimes when you're speaking, you kind of forget what you're going to say.
My dad's from Mexico, and I can speak a little bit of Spanish, but I was like, do not speak Spanish because I am not fluent.
Yeah.
So we're going to speak Spanish too, I guess.
Listen, I'm struggling here with my English, okay? So easy on me.
Melissa, one of the things, Cafetero hosts this podcast called Cafetero, a podcast about nothing that includes everything. Can you tell us what do you think about our coffee shop? Why do you come here all the time? And what is your favorite drinks here?
Oh, so
and who's your favorite barista?
Well, I'm not going to say who my favorite barista. They're all my favorite. It's like my favorite children. Because if I say that the right person, they may be making my coffee next.
Right.
Be like, oops, was that supposed to be?
Exactly, yeah.
So I think this place, there's such great energy. I mean, I love coffee shops in general because I think everything has its own personality, just like jewelry. Mm-hmm. So, not everything speaks to everyone, but there's certain favorite places. And this place is just so much fun. And there's so much energy, and you see the natural light, but you also get the feel for the people. I'm sure the feeling and the vibe of this place when there's no people in it compared to when it's open and full like that, it's hard to describe, and you just have to come and be here and it depends on each day between what artwork is on the wall to what kind of events are going on to sometimes it's more quiet and it's kind of like, I like to describe it like in train stations because everyone has a little story. And I feel like, in general, everyone has their own story. And you see these little vignettes around the coffee shop. And some people are maybe on a first date. Some people are here and discussing business. So there's just a lot going on. And if you can sometimes just be here and be a fly on the wall, you can write a book.
No, we are definitely witness to a lot of things happening.
I'll have to interview you sometime about that.
I know dirt from everybody in this town because of the coffee shop. But Melissa, I met you about 5-6 years ago, I think.
I think so.
More or less.
We've been back here for 10 years, so maybe, yeah.
Yeah, and at my previous coffee shop, our cafe, on Huguenot Street. And I remember you coming and saying if we could sell your jewelry, and I say, yes, let's do it. And we did it. We sold some, and I hope it was profitable for you as it was for me.
I was interrupted because I have to say how grateful I am, because when that happened, I was really, really new in my jewelry business, and I didn't have a lot of confidence, and I didn't, there was a lot of things I don't know what I was doing, and you coming to me, or you saying, let's do this, and you come from a place of yes, which is really refreshing, and I have kind of mimicked that a little bit in doing my jewelry business, because it's like, let's see what happens, to say yes, and let's make it happen. And so I really appreciate you also so early in my career having the confidence in me.
Oh, that's very kind.
Well, and I
expect you to tell me that.
You didn't pay me to say that. And I have to say, too, that I am in a store in Larchmont called Lauren's Boutique because of you, because she sold the jewelry at your coffee place, and we've built a relationship, and my stuff has been in her store for about 5 years. So,
wow.
You know what? That is, to me, the best reward that I can get when I tell somebody something, or when I give you advice, or when I see someone who's trying to do something, an entrepreneur, is what makes me get up every day. Really.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It really is. And anyway, I'm shaking because I never expected that.
I don't think I never told you that either.
Because you're naturally like that. You like helping everyone, and
Yes.
you do stuff sometimes that I just look at him like he doesn't even realize what he's doing to this person.
Well,
you
he's
know?
so creative, right? I mean,
Yeah.
John is one of the most creative people I know. I mean, you can make a piece of poo look like an amazing piece of art and be like, everyone will want to buy it. And it's because, I mean, you're creative. You see beyond what other people can see, and then you make it happen. Because there are people who will have the vision, but they don't know how to execute it. You do both, which is a very big gift.
Look at this place. Look how he's got it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I can't thank you enough for agreeing to do this.
Well, thank you for having me. This is so much fun.
I hope it won't ruin your career.
Well, let you
Or
know.
his.
I don't know, because you also have the podcast, so
But anyway, Melissa, do you think you are an innate entrepreneur, or you learn to be an entrepreneur? Or somebody had to tell, like that dinner you had, somebody had to tell you, that give you a little push in order for you to
Right.
boom, explode.
I think I'm a little bit of both. So I think I'm loving the entrepreneur life, and I think I love the makers world. I mean, this is a whole new world for me. And the makers, especially here in Westchester and locally, are so talented. And part of the things when you ask what do I enjoy, I also enjoy meeting the other makers, because everyone, you're standing there in a market for so long, you get to know them, and there's such a strong community. And what I also love is I've been able to do pop-ups because I've built the community and I can curate the stuff. And it's almost like me showcasing this. So that part, I'm like, as an entrepreneur, that I think it's always been in there. I never knew it was. And now there's opportunity for me to bring it out in the open. But then there are things that I don't know that I'm constantly learning and joining groups, and because I don't know everything. And I think that's the big thing, is to know you don't know everything.
you're always learning. That's a good.
Always, which is fun.
Always learning.
Which is fun.
Just fun, yeah.
Melissa, I want to do this, and like a young entrepreneur.
Uh-huh.
Any advice?
Yes, I would say first find your community, find the people who are going to support you and who are going to cheer you on, and also who to be a critic when you need to be a critic, because it's easy to have that self-doubt. So that imposter syndrome. So have that person who's going to be on your side, and also be careful. Everyone has an opinion. And so be true to yourself, because what may be your truth is not someone else's truth, but they may be projecting it on you of how you should do it. So only you know how your business is. I mean, I think like if someone came in here and told you to make this all wood, dark, what you would be like, well, you would not.
Yeah.
Because that's
Melissa,
not,
I get that a lot.
I do. Like right there. I mean, I guess he's used to it by now, because that happens pretty often. But
I used to get angry.
right, because but as a young person, if you're a young
coffee shop.
right, yeah, get your own. But as a young person, as a young, it's easy because you feel so insecure. So you're like, well, maybe they know better than I do. And it's knowing who to listen to and knowing who to just say, that's an interesting perspective.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll consider it, but I'll do it my way.
Yeah, I'll consider it. Throw it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Well, just to finalize this interview, anything you'd like to share? Maybe this is your camera.
My camera.
This is the 3 followers I have.
There's gonna be many more. Okay, we're growing.
That's right. You'll be international too. My family in Mexico will listen to it. There you
Right,
go.
right.
They'll be like, why is she not speaking Spanish? How dare her?
We'll translate it for you.
Right. Absolutely.
I would say follow me on ADesign, ADZINENY.com. Follow me on Instagram. I'm pretty active there. I'm going to have a pop-up shop inside the New Rochelle train station for the holidays for November and December. So come see all my friends, because it's not just me, because that's boring, but my friends are really excited. So it's when I say come see my friends, come see the creations that they make, and come hang out, because again, like the coffee place, the train station, I find there's so much stories. There's so many different people. It's like, it's non-biased. Anyone can come to a coffee shop. Anyone can come into the train station, and it's full of energy.
You know, we missed one question, and you missed it. It was what's your favorite drink and why?
Oh yeah, she didn't mention. She just
I
didn't
just
want
went
to say.
right over it,
She
right?
just didn't want to say who was her favorite barista.
Yes. So my favorite is a vanilla latte with oat milk. And what I love is the brand of oat milk you use here is one of my favorites. So,
Oatly for everybody.
Question: ice or hot?
well, usually hot, but it's been so hot lately that I actually had it iced today. So, and I think too, what I love about yours, and this is not, but is that sometimes it can be too sweet, but you don't make it super sweet. You make it just right.
That's right.
Wow.
Okay. We have the right
Thank you,
microphone.
Melissa.
Thank you very much, Melissa, for
Muchas
joining us
gracias.
today.
Muchas gracias.
¿De qué? Aquí estamos. And the next pop-up shop after the train station is going to be here, okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're going to have Melissa's jewelry at Cafetero Coffee Company at 111 New Rochelle, the Modera building. So, and follow her at...
A Design, A-D-Z-N, oh my gosh, A-D-Z-I-N-E-N-Y.
And
dot com.
Instagram.
Instagram, yeah.
We're going to have a little something on the bottom of the
Right.
screen so
Right.
people can follow.
And if you need a custom piece of work, I'm your person.
There you go.
custom piece of work, cannot get any better than that.
We made it easy for you guys.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the
And,
opportunity. I can't
Melissa,
wait.
I do have a piece of jewelry that I'm wearing. Ederlin.
Let me tell you something.
It's priceless. It is a priceless piece.
One of a kind. Thank you, and see you next time.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.